The following program is sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.
Welcome back to Building Wisconsin, Steve. Great to see you again. And wow, what a transformation from about 18 months ago when this was just a huge empty space. And just to recap for our viewers, this all started a couple years back with a vision and an investment by your members.
Yep, no doubt, Stu. And we've been looking for a training center to serve our Madison area for about 10 years or longer, actually. But started saving up to build a facility. And so we've been looking for a spot that had enough room for expansion and enough parking. I've been to training centers all over the country, and most of them, when they build them, they're full pretty quick, and they don't have enough parking. So when we found this big box, very close to the interstate, easy access, visible, and right in the center of our whole jurisdiction. So it's an ideal spot for us, and we have plenty of parking for our members to come and do their training.
Sure, and this is one of two local Plumbers 75 training centers. The other one's down near Milwaukee. And this is where your member apprentices and journey workers get trained, right?
That's correct. Well, we have two facilities now. So one in Madison here is much bigger than the one in Milwaukee, but we do all of our day school training, our night school training for apprentices and continuing ed for journeymen. It's nice to have that all under one roof with our own instructors. So all of our instructors are plumbers as well. We have the adaptability and flexibility to do whatever training we need, and now we have the space as well.
Wow, so the vision is becoming a reality. And to me, what you're developing here in this area of Madison is a learning campus that really flows back into the community. And is that how the name Tributary came to be?
Yeah, pretty much. We thought be part of the community and also have a place to congregate and share information. And I think the other thing is just the exposure to the building trades, not just plumbing, but any building trade. The high schools don't have shop classes like they used to, just a general exploratory on what it is to be in the trade.
Well, to me, it's awesome what you're doing, and one of the tenants, or the future tenants, is the playing field. They want to move in here. That's going to be a really unique partnership that's really going to provide a lot of benefits to not only your members, but the community as well.
Childcare is a challenge for any family, and the construction industry, especially with the hours we work, usually you start early, plus we have night school, we have day school, so we thought if we could partner up with a childcare provider, that would be a good fit in here. They got a tremendous model, tremendous group. We've been to their facility several times, and it's just that's the partner we want to work with on childcare.
Yeah, that sounds great. And a little later, to finish up today's show, we're going to catch up with Abbi from there, and that's going to be fun to learn more about that and get it out to the viewers that, you know, just how special they are.
Yep, and they've had a couple national conferences here too to bring in their conscious discipline model, so it's really neat to see how they provide childcare. It's a unique model, and it's a very effective model.
Well, hats off to you and your members. This is just a fabulous world-class training facility, and there's so much room to grow. Does Plumber 75 have any ambition to grow even bigger?
Most definitely. For many years, we were able to expand right under the roof, which is unique, that we don't have to expand the footprint. We can work and expand our classrooms and our labs and opportunities and do career fairs here. We have the space to do all that. So it's really, really neat, and it is nice to have that space and opportunity to bring other groups in. And, certainly we're looking for plumbers, but even all building trades as an option for a career.
Sure. Well, the building trades is the future to our quality of life here in Wisconsin. Glad that you guys are looking out for it, not only in plumbing, but in all the trades. Thanks a lot for coming on Building Wisconsin. We'll catch up with you again in the future.
Yep, been my pleasure, Stu.
Welcome back to Building Wisconsin, Cory. Great to see you again. I was just talking to Steve about the amazing transformation of the old big box store into the new Madison Training Center for Plumbers 75, and wow, is this amazing. It already looks busy when I walk through here, and you guys have both day and night classes going on here?
Yes, at this time we had a full semester of day school and night school. We've also had quite a few continuing ed classes for the journey workers.
Yeah, a lot of the viewers out there might not realize just how much education it takes to become and to continue to be a plumber here in the state of Wisconsin.
Well, with our apprenticeship, it's 8,000 hours that are registered, and they have over 500 hours of day school here. Journey workers, they have continuing ed yearly to maintain their license.
Well, let's take a quick tour throughout this new facility so that we can see behind the scenes look at where all this education takes place.
Sure, let's start upstairs. So this is one of our multiple classrooms. Pretty much anything that we'll do hands-on always has to start in the classroom. Day school code, this room is one of the code rooms, so day school will happen here where they'll mainly sit down and do multiple courses related to code.
Now you mentioned the plumbing code book, and I know from past shows, I mean, that is a thick book. You're saying that when they're in this classroom learning about the code, that's just it. They have to understand everything in that book and pass a test to become a licensed plumber in the state of Wisconsin?
Yep, that's what they're doing here on their 5 semesters, is learning that code book. After their apprenticeship, in order to get their journeymans, they have to pass a state required test.
Wow, and in addition to that, I mean, there's a lot of math when it comes to plumbing, right? People might not think of it. They think about flushing a toilet, turning on a faucet. But there's a lot of math that goes into installing all these products into a structure.
That's one of the courses in our first semester. We do construction math, plumbing math. As plumbers, I need to know, can I hang that? Can I fill that with water? If I put a pump to it, how long will it take to empty the cylinder?
Sure, well, it all makes sense to me. And when most of us think about a classroom setting, this is what we think. I mean, we have desks, tables, chairs, but in the trades, it's a little different because in addition to this setting, there's also labs. You got to get hands-on, and you guys have world-class training labs down below. I'm anxious to see those.
Yeah, let's go take a look.
Now here's what I'm talking about. This screams hands-on. Look at all the space. This has to be very beneficial.
Yeah, this is our service and fixture lab. This gives us the opportunity to be fluid with fixtures that they're going to face in the industry. So here's multiple different toilets they'll be able to set up, take apart, repair. Underneath the deck, we have underground plumbing. We also have buried wires, so our service guys have to do a lot of locating, tracing. We can also block off the sewer in the chase, so they actually have to rod the sewer. All in all, in the second semester when they work at fixtures, they get to come in here, take it from rough end to finish.
Oh, that is awesome. So really, what we see here is what they get. I mean, this is a real world setting that they get to train on before they go out into the real world.
Now this is where they get to make their mistakes. Take full advantage of putting them together, taking them apart.
And it's fair to say you guys could swap these out depending on what the instructor wants to teach, right?
This is very fluid. We kept it very basic so we have the opportunity to do what we need to in short order.
Yeah, because it's probably fair to say that building plans now are getting more complex than ever, and getting the knowledge here really helps when they do get out into the field.
Yeah, and being a service lab, I can also do things like block off vents, mess with pressures, different heating, different types of water, just to give them real life situations of what they could problems they see in the field. This lab is done for both apprentices and journey workers. There is both needs in this room. A lot of service classes happen here and fixtures second semester in our day school.
Sure, well, we could spend an entire show talking about this lab, but you have 5 additional labs, so let's go see the next one.
Sounds good. So Stu, this is our Backflow Lab.
Okay, Backflow Lab. What is Backflow?
So all these devices protect everyone's health. They're installed, maintained yearly. What this does is prevents harmful, toxic things from backflowing into your domestic drinking water, whether it be chemicals from a boiler or simple as your hose in a pail of soap.
Oh, so when you say backflow and preventing toxins of getting back into the system. It must block it somehow so it doesn't backflow into it.
Correct. A lot of these are in most public buildings, even your home. This keeps them from backflowing back into the domestic water that you need to drink.
So all that said, this is extremely important for our plumbers to understand. So give me an example of what they're doing here.
In this class, what they're doing is they have to come in here and test all the differentials in a device to make sure that this device is operating correctly. Every year, these have to be tested and maintained, so our plumbers are certified to come in here, do the testing, and make the corrections.
Okay, so would these be located behind a wall? I mean, the plumbers would have to know how to access all this?
Some are above ceilings, some are mechanical rooms. They're hidden, but the plumbers know where they're at.
Sure. Well, as I look around here in this lab, I love all the space. I like the fact that there's tables here so they can get prepped before they get hands-on. And we're talking about students and how they're learning and what a great learning environment. But what about the instructors? Being brand new, state-of-the-art, how do they like this facility?
This rejuvenates them, gets them pretty excited. I mean, we have the space, the room to teach. We're not all cramped. The students are a lot more excited being here. You know, a lot of positive feedback, a lot of positive energy. So they get to do things that they can't do in a place where you don't have room.
And somebody might say, yeah, well, why is that so important? Well, if you're working 8 to 10 hours a day and then coming to night school, I got to believe having a comfortable learning environment makes it all that much better, and you want to learn when you're here.
For sure. I mean, anybody's tired after working 8 hours. It doesn't take them long to get going because most of the apprentices and journey workers are here for a purpose. But when it's a lot better environment, it's a lot more positive experience.
Well, it doesn't get much better than this, that's for sure. But let's go see the next lab.
This is our medical gas lab.
Oh, this is cool. You know, most people when they think plumbing, they think water, right? You're talking water heaters, toilets, sinks. They don't realize that plumbers are in charge of all the critical gases in a hospital as well.
Yeah, this lab is set up from mechanical room to tank farm to all the components in a hospital. There's medical gas done in veterinary clinics, dental clinics, hospitals, even labs throughout the state. All our contractors do that kind of work. It's a separate certification, separate license, separate test. They have a separate code they work off of. It's a written test, and they also have to pass a third-party brazing test to show they can do that work.
What determines whether you need to braze a connection or you can just solder it?
So soldering for domestic water happens at 500-600 degrees. This happens at over 1,000. So it's almost like welding copper with a lot more structural filler material.
Okay, so why is that important that you go to a higher temperature?
In the event of a fire, for instance, oxygen could create an explosive atmosphere for the firefighters. Therefore, brazing happens so that we don't have the systems blowing apart.
Gotcha. Okay, well, it looks really intricate. I understand why, just looking at it, you need to have a separate education, a separate license to operate on something like this. Not to mention the critical nature of it. I mean, when I go into a hospital, I'm assuming that I'm able to use that oxygen.
Yeah, that's probably the last thing you want to think about is, can I breathe this air, let alone drink the water?
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so where are they taught the brazing techniques that are needed for this type of piping?
So we have a welding and brazing lab. Why don't we go over there and take a look? Okay, Stu, this is our hot lab, which we do solder, brazing, and also welding.
Wow, you know, I look around at all the space in all these labs. This is a great learning environment. So we were talking about brazing over there. Looks like someone who's working here.
Yeah, so this is one of the brazing jigs we have set up for doing the medical gas brazing. They were doing the brazing process with a nitrogen purge. If they do it correctly, it comes out clean. This is over 1,000 degrees, and look at the inside.
Look at how clean that is in there. That's beautiful. And that's probably of the utmost importance because this is in a hospital setting or a veterinary clinic. I mean, you have to make sure there's no impurities.
Correct. And that has to all get tested and certified at the end to make sure that it passes rigorous hospital mandates.
Okay, so how do you know that it's done correctly?
Throughout all the phases of apprenticeship journey worker, we'll make them complete the joints under different conditions, different angles, And then we will destructively rip the joint apart, and by then we can analyze what they did right or wrong.
Boy, I like that term, destructive testing. So give me an example here of what was done right and what was done wrong.
For instance, this joint here, you would see copper along the whole outside, especially with the fitting on there. I would think, good joint. I would then rip this apart, and I found out not enough heat or too much flux created a pocket.
Oh, I see. And so right here, this piece of copper was fitting right into this joint like this. You pull it out and you see there isn't a complete silver color here. And then you're able to tell me, hey, here's why this happened. Go back and test again or work on it again in practice.
Right, the technique and using the torch, using the solder, going by how it feels when it goes in, this is where you learn it. If we wait for the field, you're gonna say, hey, this looks good, but then we're gonna have a leak and it's gonna cost the contractors money.
Okay, so at the end of the day, good training leads to a great product out in the field, that's for sure. Can we go over to the welding booths? I'm interested in those.
Sure.
Wow, I've been in a lot of training centers with welding booths, but this one really takes the cake. It is huge and so clean and a great ventilation system. Really a great work environment.
Yeah, we toured a lot of training centers. The welding labs, we had a lot of information as far as what they liked, what they didn't like. Cleanup was a big one, being able to sweep up. This one, they wanted an area where the students can all meet in the middle when they want to talk as a group, and then have the breakout sessions in the welding booth to work on individual skills.
Okay, so tell me where in the plumbing industries plumbers actually weld.
On the apprenticeship program, they have to get structural welding for hanging hangers, doing different devices for support. Sure. We do natural gas also, so some of the welding for natural gas lines are done by our members. Also, stainless steel TIG welding for domestic water. Stainless steel is another piping system we use besides copper for a lot of domestic water systems.
Sure. Okay, we've seen lots of labs, but you still have 3 more that we haven't seen.
Yeah, we have the gas-fired lab, water heater lab. As you walk in there, you'll find multiple different water heaters, commercial, residential, kind of the stuff that we have in our general area from the suppliers that we normally use to expose our service plumbers and the journeyman plumbers as to what they're dealing with.
Sure, on a day-to-day basis.
We have the CAD, BIM, VDC lab. Drawing is how we communicate. In there we get CAD, BIM, modeling, total station. We also do a lot of third-party computer testing in that lab.
And that's probably a good example of how the industry's evolved, because instead of just blueprints, now a lot of it is all electronic.
Yeah, a lot of job sites are modeled out before the plumber even gets there.
Sure.
The last lab is our quality water conditioning lab. We work on water testing, water filtration, water softeners, RO systems, how to service softeners.
Sure, we were in that in a previous Building Wisconsin show featuring the Saltwise initiative, and that's a great example of utilizing it for something that's happening within our community, right?
Correct, that's been a great partnership, and we're training our service technicians to meet the goals of that partnership.
Okay, well, as cool as all these labs are, and again, I can't emphasize how huge this is and beautiful this welding lab is, there's another area that I think our viewers would love to see, and that's what you affectionately call the cage.
Yeah, let's go take a look. So this is what we call the cage, Stu. This is an area that they can do layout, they can do wall rough, they can do overhead. It stemmed from a couple different things the instructors are trying to do. We wanted an area to lay out bathroom groups on the floor, work on overhead, projecting layouts to the ceiling. So we came up with a structure that we could do it all on. Each student would have an area to do layout. They can do wall rough on the lower, they can work stacks. They can obviously work overhead and on all the joist space, then work up into the second floor and plumb a second floor.
Wow, I love this. I mean, look at this. I mean, you have to learn pitch. People might come in and go, well, what is pitch? And you can talk about it all you want in a hard copy book, but until you get out in a real world setting like this, demonstration area and put a level on that, you don't know if it's a quarter bubble or whatever it needs to be, right?
Yeah, I can work a whole class in this setting. We can do life-size mock-ups. I can give them a drawing, just like they would be expected to do at work as a whole class setting.
Well, as a matter of fact, it looks like it's set up for a class here now.
Yeah, our applications class is here tonight. They work on joining of multiple different pipe types. So tonight, they'll be actually working on their final and performing a drawing where they plumb up a whole setting based on the drawing they receive.
Boy, that's going to be pressure packed, but satisfying when they're done, I'm sure. And when we were walking over here, I was asking about the building process of this particular cage, and you said you did it to specs, so much so that you can do OSHA training here.
Yeah, here we do our OSHA 30 class. They'll come up, discuss guardrails, handrails, fall protection. I mean, we have the lifts and the ladders they'll be working here, so we can do ladder safety, lift safety, a lot of different things, all because they're using the space.
No matter what the trade is, safety is always paramount and usually at the forefront of the training, right?
It's part of the training. It's essential for what the contractors need.
Sure. Well, I wish we had more time to walk through this facility and focus in on each individual lab, but just having this behind the scenes tour was helpful. Thanks a lot. I'll let you get back to work and we'll carry on.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on Building Wisconsin, Abby. And on today's show, we've been talking about the Tributary and how this is a community-based building. Really, I mean, it's a world-class training center for Plumbers Local 75, but it goes much deeper than that within our community. And we wanted to catch up with you because you run the Playing Field Daycare. And as I understand it, talking to Steve Breitlow, you're going to be a perfect fit because you guys want to move in here. So let's begin by explaining, what is the Playing Field?
Okay. The Playing Field is a unique model for early care and education. We provide childcare to children from the ages of 0 to 5, and our model is to have children from a diverse funding sources. So a third of our families pay full tuition like they would at any other quality program in our community. A third of our families receive scholarship support. Those are families that wouldn't normally be able to access a high quality program for their children. And a third of our families are families who are impacted by housing insecurity. And those families are funded on our west side location by a grant from Early Head Start, and at our east side location by help from United Way Dane County and the City of Madison. So we believe that it's important for all children to have access to high quality care, and it's also important to care for and educate children in the context of our community rather than separating them by what their families can afford to pay.
It sounds to me like it's not necessarily a question of want, it's of need.
It's a huge need in the community, and it's a huge barrier for folks, and I think that's one thing that the Plumbers Union was wise enough to see 3 years ago when they approached us, was childcare or lack of childcare is a barrier for people that's going to prevent them from taking advantage of these opportunities as well as other opportunities.
Sure, and you're touching on the partnerships, and that was one of my next questions was different partnerships. I told Steve it seems like a really unique, beneficial partnership, not only to his members, but to the community as a whole. So let's start with why you think it's so beneficial with the plumbers.
The appeal to me of working with the plumbers was, first of all, I saw Steve doing the same thing that we're doing, which is trying to break barriers. He was looking at childcare as a barrier for people, and he was trying to break that barrier. That's what we've tried to do in our field, is break the barriers that prevent families from accessing quality care. So that was, first of all, just kind of like-mindedness that really made it appealing. The other thing then was the opportunity for some of our families who are really struggling financially and haven't had opportunities to be able to have on-site childcare where they could potentially go and also learn a trade. That was amazing. His students could benefit from childcare. our families could benefit from job training. And so that was an amazing partnership. And then along the way, we also developed our own apprenticeship, and we're working to create an apprenticeship program in early childhood education. So yeah, we have a big vision for the space, and we're really excited about it.
Well, you're a perfect fit to end today's show, because we're talking about, apprentices, journey workers, adult education. You're talking about infant education, and really that's where strong communities begin.
For sure.
I see the future floor plan behind us on the wall there. Tell us what you have planned.
So we have planned really a dream for early childcare and education. It's amazing what we've been able to dream up, and really just to think about every single inch of that space very intentionally. So we have about 15,000 square feet, and within that we have 10 classrooms. And we have been able to really think about how we use the space and how children use the space, and we have some really unique features that we're very excited about. We do have a lot of children who come to us who are experiencing homelessness, so we have a washer and dryer set in every suite where families can come and children can have their needs met for clean clothes. We have a bathing area so children can get a bath if they need a bath. A lot of the children that we serve have been impacted by trauma, so we have 2 spaces that are designed to help children receive sensory input or opportunities for output, and those experiences help them regulate themselves and resolve some of the feelings that they're having. We have designed the space with observation windows in each classroom, so we can invite people in to see our trauma-informed practices without disturbing the classrooms. That's one of the things we're most excited about. I'm also really excited about each classroom having their own outdoor space, so teachers will be able to open the doors and allow children to choose, do they want to play inside or outside? And that's almost unheard of in an early childhood situation.
It really sounds like it's a dream come true
It really
when this comes to fruition, that's for sure. If we can make it happen, and I know that you have an ongoing campaign raising funds for it.
Yes. Our capital campaign is called The World We Imagine, and we are imagining a world where every child has access to quality care when they need it. And we are so excited about the community support that we've received. Our goal is $5 million. Our construction budget is about $4 million, and we've included an extra $1 million in there to help us sustain the program in case we would have an unforeseen circumstance come up. And we have been just overwhelmed. In the short time that we've been fundraising, we received a very generous grant from the Pleasant Rowland Foundation, from the American Family Insurance Dreams Foundation, from the Roots and Wings Foundation, from other foundations and individuals in the community. We have just been very overwhelmed and grateful for the support that we've received.
And the names you mentioned are strong community members. I mean, everybody's familiar with them. So let's get some more people contributing. We can make your dream and everybody's dream happen. After learning more about it, I can see the value you bring, not only to Plumbers 75, but to the Madison community as well. Thanks for coming on Building Wisconsin.
Thanks for having me.
For more information on Building Wisconsin, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and be sure to watch additional episodes on YouTube or at our website, buildingwisconsintv.com. The preceding program was sponsored by the Building Wisconsin Television Network.